Longer term, these are my plans for stability. But there's this pressing situation that I've got to deal with right now, and so I'm just going to have to put those long-term plans on hold for right now. I'm really disappointed about that, but what can you do? Life sucks sometimes, and there's not really anything you can do about it. Sound familiar? Is there some area of your life where you have a long-term plan that you know is going to solve something permanently going forward, yet you're finding yourself in an immediate situation that's making it so that you have to sacrifice the longer term for the sake of the short term? And you're getting immensely frustrated. You want it all to happen now, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to budge. Now, what area of your life might this relate to? Well, I'm an astrologer, but I don't know all of that automatically. So a lot of that would depend upon where this new moon is falling in your horoscope, planets that it's interacting with, what Mercury is responsible for in your horoscope. So many different factors. If you'd like a little bit of advice in understanding this in relation to your own personal horoscope, my Empower Hour consultations and empowered approach to astrology are the way to go, and you can find a link to those above. But when we find ourselves in situations like that, it seems silly to have to wait. But there's no denying a situation when it's present, and it just kind of leaves us in this state of confusion where we go, right, well, if I know what I'm meant to be doing, why do I have to endure this particular scenario that I'm dealing with? Well, I have some answers for you today in a direct and also a roundabout manner, right? The roundabout manner requires a little bit of explanation, but I'm going to keep it really simple for you. Those of you who watch my videos quite often and are likely familiar with Nakshatras, I have a lot of new people who are watching who don't really know too much about Nakshatras, so I'm going to take some time to kind of bring them up to speed in that particular regard. So in Vedic astrology, which is the system that I work with, aside from dividing the sky into the portions which most people are familiar with, which are the zodiac signs, we also work with 27 divisions of the sky of 13 degrees and 20 minutes each, and these are called Nakshatras. They're also known as the lunar mansions of Vedic astrology. They're a different division of the sky. It's important to know that. But they influence the energy of planets that are in them as well and determine how we're likely to grow that particular energy. And this particular new moon, which has the sun, moon, and Mercury all within a closely knit section of the sky, is taking place in a section of the sky that's called Revati Nakshatra. Revati deals with the concepts of nourishment. It deals with the concept of having faith. It deals with being in a state of limbo, allowing some time for development, and the transitional phase between one phase of our existence and another. Revati, there's a sutra. What is a sutra? A sutra is a short piece of information, maybe one or two sentences, that clearly will expand upon a great teaching that is contained within that sutra once you begin to meditate upon the meaning of it. I'll repeat that. What's a sutra? A sutra is usually just one sentence of information that when you meditate upon it, or if you have a teacher to explain the meaning of it to you, will expand and create a level of deeper information where all you have to do is memorize that one little sentence. And with Revati Nakshatra, there's a sutra which relates to something above and something below. That doesn't mean the sky and the ground. What it relates to is the higher self, or the higher level of our soul, and the individualized soul, or sometimes known as the lower self, if you want to relate to it in that particular way. And with the higher self, there's a cow. And with the lower self, there are cows. And this particular sutra, which I'm not going to give you the exact sutra for, it's a little more complex than that. It relates to the concept of when we trust that we're going to be nourished, we get precisely what we need. But when your mind sees things in a certain way and it wants things to develop along the lines that it feels most comfortable with because it's set a plan, and that plan doesn't work in completely the way that we want it to, it can feel a little bit frustrating. And because of the position of the moon, Mercury, and the sun, all in a close-knit section of the sky, what happens between the moon and Mercury is the moon gives a slight degree of what's called starvation to Mercury. So Mercury is really good at having these ideas, these wanting to apply its skills towards creating a particular solution. And the moon's all about fulfilling our needs. And so at the time of this new moon, the moon has a need for a greater level of stability. And Mercury's been working towards putting some energy and effort into something longer term. And it's beginning to kind of go, well, this is annoying because this is what I want. And I'm not really getting that precise thing that I want. Now, at the same time, this moon is giving some strength to the sun because the moon is delighting the sun. The moon at the time of the new moon, though, is a little bit combust. It's a little bit weak. So the level of fulfillment that it gives to the sun, we're not always really able to see. And that's called delighting the sun. And so what this relates to for you individually in relation to all these technical things, so to speak, is that you're in a position where your soul, which is the sun, knows best, right? It's going, hey, here's a solution I need for you to move towards. So because I want you to move towards this solution, I'm going to create a need for you in the present moment to go in a particular direction because you see an immediate need to do so. In short, that immediate need to deal with a situation that's pressing upon you is likely pulling you in a direction where you're developing something different, which doesn't mean you sacrifice the long term. Who knows? This diversion or seeming diversion that you've got going on could have a special little tidbit of information for you, which you can add to your longer term solution. You see, we think that we know best. And when things don't work out the way that we want them to, we go, oh, the universe, God, whatever it is you want to call it, doesn't see things my way. It needs to change its outlook. Bad. And so I have to make it conform to my particular outlook. But if we can place ourselves in the space of trusting and understanding that everything is developing in precisely the way that we need for it to, with time, because Revati is the great duration, the transition, the time of space between one incarnation and another. It's symbolized by a drum which beats out time. It's the pulsing of time, right? So with trust in time, something more profound can be developed from what seemed like an annoying little distraction. So let yourself be annoyed with it. Hey, it's frustrating. I get annoyed with those types of things too, all the time. But at the same time, recognize that this seeming diversion away from your long-term plans may be taking you closer to a better long-term solution if you simply trust in the process. And if you could use a little bit of help with that, I'm happy to provide some help through my Empower Hours, which you're able to schedule above at this link. That's going to do it for this look at the new moon in Revati Nakshatra, which is going to take place this Friday, the 1st of April, no April Fool's jokes, 2022. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.